Hello, I'm Dr. Lynne Zimmerman of MyEnergyMedicine.com and author of Heal Yourself Using the Mind-Body Connection. My work is brain plasticity. I show people how to rewire their brain in specific ways in order to rewrite their life the way they want it. If you're watching this, there is something important in your life that you want to change. You might even think, if I could change that, it would change everything for me. A lot of people feel like that. It might be chronic physical pain or emotional trauma. It might be creative blocks or some kind of self-sabotage in your life, in your relationships or your money or your weight. You're doing the right things, you are working hard for this, but you're not getting the results that you want. I'm here to help you with that. Here's what we know from epigenetics and molecular biology, cell biology. Our brain can create, with the same identical genetic blueprint, 30,000 different versions of each one of us. 30,000 different versions with the same genetic blueprint. Versions of us where we easily make money and amass wealth. Versions of us where we have a lean, strong body that's pain-free and with energy that lasts all day long. Versions of ourselves that easily create beautiful relationships of reciprocity and value, with fun and laughter. 30,000 different versions of each one of us. How do we do that? How do we make those kind of changes? How do we create something different? How do we become who we want to be and have what we want with what we've got? We do this with brain plasticity. Perhaps our greatest gift as humans, the ability of the brain to change its form and function. So, how can this work for you when other things haven't worked? The reason is that until now, you've only changed about 4% of your blueprint. What could happen if you changed the other 96%? Whatever you've tried, whatever you've done to this point, seminars, positive motivation, information from people at the top of their field. This is all amazing and excellent information, but it only affects about 4% of your blueprint. That is the 4% of your brain that's the conscious part that's telling you, this is what I want, this is how I'm going to get it. This is 4%, this is how this information feeds. Information like this only affects the 4%. And you can work really, really hard with the 4%, and I know that you are, because that's what you tell me when you contact me. You're working really hard with the information that you've got, but you're not getting the results. You're still experiencing the pain, the physical pain or the emotional pain, the weight, the self-sabotage issues, the stress. You're doing all this work but not getting the results. Here's how you can change that, okay? You've probably heard that we only use a very small part of our brain at any one time. The most recent research tells us that only about 4%, a little less than 4% of our brain is allocated toward conscious processing. The prefrontal cortex, the part that says, here's what I'm going to do and here's how I'm going to get there. This is the plan. The other 96% of our brain is processing at the subconscious level, sending messages 24 hours a day to every cell in our body and also to our emotion centers, to the centers that make our decisions. You know about some of these processes already, and they're positive and you're familiar with them. Our lungs inflate and deflate, our heart beats. We don't have to think in, out, in, out. Our breathing is automatic. It happens from subconscious messages beyond our control. Also, our immune system. We're exposed to things like hepatitis virtually every day, but we remain healthy. Our immune system sends automatic subconscious messages that deflect things that don't serve us. Positive, life-affirming subconscious messages. But there are also millions of messages sent every day to our cells of our body and our emotion centers that determine other things. Subconscious messages that decide the kind of response we're going to make to our life, to the events and circumstances and people in our lives. The setbacks, subconscious messages that either get us what we want because they're supporting us, or subconscious messages that sabotage us. They're causing us to respond in ways that don't serve us. Subconscious messages that are running our life all day long. Subconscious sabotage messages are like a computer virus that we download. We don't see it, but we can feel the effects, right? How can you tell if you have subconscious viruses running around in your life? How can you tell if your subconscious brain messages have sabotage messages in them? Here's what your life looks like if they do. You exercise and you eat right, but you gain weight. You relive again and again the emotional traumas that you've experienced. You can't forget what you've heard and seen and experienced that hurt you, that was painful. You try every kind of medical treatment available for your diagnosis, and still you're living in pain. You create the same relationship again and again and again with different people, different faces, same problems. So how do you change what you can't control? How do you get 96% of your brain messages to support you 24 hours a day? And how do you change the messages that are already downloaded that are sabotaging you, that are beyond your awareness, beyond your conscious awareness? People from all over the world ask me about this every week. I have studied and worked with brain plasticity for over 10 years. And I use the processes that I now know to be the most effective at leveraging brain plasticity. One of my favorites, one of the processes that I use every day, is called acupoint tapping, or EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. EFT is rapidly transforming the world of healthcare practices. It is revolutionizing healthcare. It is improving and transforming millions of lives every day. It's a cutting-edge mind-body technique that we use very, very effectively when we want to rewire the brain for a specific process, for a specific purpose. Why is it so effective? How does EFT work so effectively? How can you count on EFT to help you? Okay. The first thing is EFT sends a quieting message, a fear-dampening message to the most ancient part of the brain, the part that triggers our automatic negative responses. EFT sends a quieting message so that it neutralizes our automatic negative downloads, the subconscious messages that cause us to respond negatively to the events and circumstances in our lives, to the setbacks. It also transforms and changes the chemistry, the brain chemistry that triggers these negative responses, these habitual subconscious negative responses. So in those two ways, quieting the lizard brain and also changing the brain chemistry, EFT allows us to begin to rewire positive responses. We don't respond with automatic negative downloads. Secondly, EFT allows us to rewire our brain, to create new brain wiring. The moment the brain accesses a new way to perceive an event or circumstance, it creates a new neural pathway to carry that message. Within 1 hour of repeated stimulation, the brain can double the number of neural connections in a brain bundle. So with tapping, we rewire our brain's current wiring around certain circumstances and events. We create new wiring, bringing new messages, new automatic subconscious downloads. And third, tapping EFT is a very, very sophisticated form of thought field therapy. In thought field therapy, we look at the meaning that we have attached to the events and circumstances in our lives. It's not the event or the circumstance that harms us. It's the meaning that we have attached to it. It's what it means to us. For instance, my partner abandoned me. That means I'm not fun. It means I'm not sexy enough and pretty enough and fascinating enough and smart enough. It means I'm not good enough. It means I'm not lovable. What it really means is that I'm never going to have a really wonderful relationship. It means I'm not very good at anything. If the meanings that we attach to the events of our lives are what provide the harm, and they are, tapping helps us to transform the meanings with the rewiring of our brain. And fourth, tapping helps us to access superlearning. Superlearning is a brain state in which we are processing with both halves of our brain at the same time instead of just one or the other, which is our normal state. Superlearning is also associated with alpha brainwaves, the deeper, slower brainwaves than the beta waves that we would be using for this kind of conversation. Alpha brainwaves are associated with deep understanding, with sudden insight into previously unsolvable problems, and also with creative problem solving. Post-treatment studies of alcoholism 3 years later reflect a nearly 100% recovery rate, still 3 years later, if the participants have been taught how to access the alpha brain state. Incredibly powerful statement about this kind of healing. So superlearning and tapping allow us to access the alpha brainwave state. When you rewire your brain, you can literally rewrite your life, any part of it or all of it. So what subconscious messages are affecting your life right now? What subconscious virus messages have affected you? In order to look at that, look inside your life. Look at the parts of your life that are really important to you. Your relationships, your work and career and money, your health and vitality. What isn't in your life yet that you want? That's where you have a subconscious virus program that's preventing it. When we have no barriers, no brain blocks, when we have no subconscious viruses sending messages 24/7, we naturally access what we want. We decide what we want, and we naturally create it because our subconscious messages are supporting us 24/7, helping us to make the decisions that support everything we want for ourselves, for our life, for the people we love. So imagine, who would you like to be? And how would you rewrite your life if you could? Because now you can. How do you do that? How do you rewrite your life? By learning how to rewire your brain. When you learn to rewire your brain, you will rewrite your life. You can't help it. I see it every day. That's why I love this work. I invite you to step into your own transformation. Learn how to rewire your brain so that you can rewrite your life, this life, the way you want it. Look at myenergymedicine.com. There is tons of information for you there. And if you would like support one-on-one, send me a message. We'll talk. I'm Dr. Lynne Zimmerman. I am at your service. Be well and thrive.